Curry. Dribble drive on Trey Jones. Just took him right to the rim. Scored it and got fouled. Number 30 is making sure the Warriors are going to give themselves their best chance to win this game.
Yeah, and the Warriors at times looked like that was going to be a real difficult ask on this night. They trailed at the end of the first quarter, 26-23. Trailed going to the fourth quarter by a point, but the Warriors able to get it together in quarter number 4. 43-27, Warriors outscore the Spurs, and they go on to win, going away 130-115. So we welcome you inside Warriors wrap-up here on 95.7 The Game. It's John Dickinson with you until about 11 o'clock as we react to this one. Phone lines are open, 888-957-9570. 888-957-9570. That is the phone number to give me a call or shoot me a text here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. The Comcast Business text line is open. And look, tonight was, for the most part, not pretty. It was bluntly 3 quarters of pretty ugly. And the Warriors, on what is probably the final night of this season, regular season, play-in, playoffs, however it shakes out, NBA Finals run. This is probably the last game of the year where the Warriors had the opportunity to go through the motions, not bring the proper level of focus or intensity, kind of half-ass it, and still get a win. And still get a win relatively comfortably when it was all said and done, although there were moments in the game where it looked like it might get more than a little uncomfortable against a San Antonio Spurs team that just has an absolutely atrocious roster with the guys that they're putting on the floor right now. They fall to 19-58, but they're at the stage where losses are really wins, and Greg Popovich is playing out the string and getting into the Hall of Fame tomorrow, and so none of it really matters as far as they're concerned. In fact, the losses do equal wins, although they are already locked up to being one of the teams that will have the best shot at getting the number 1 pick in the upcoming NBA draft in June. But regardless, the Warriors still had one of these zero upside games where they had to win. You were hoping it would be relatively comfortably and drama-free without injury, because you look at the remaining games that the Warriors have here on the season, the Final Four now, with the Final Four in college basketball tomorrow, but the Warriors have their own little Final Four at Denver on Sunday, Oklahoma City in the home finale on Tuesday, and then a game at Sacramento a week from tonight before they wrap it up in Portland. And Portland may be the only team currently, with the guys that are actually playing, has a roster that rivals how atrocious the Spurs roster is right now. So tonight had to be a gimme. The game in Portland on April 9th, Easter Sunday, a week from Sunday and 9 nights, that has to be a gimme, and that's actually an afternoon game, 12:30 start right here on 95.7 The Game. So really the question is, off the top, do style points even matter at this point for the Warriors, or certain levels of dominance? I don't think so. To me, they got the win. They got out of there. I know Draymond got banged up a little bit right before halftime with the knee and came back out and started the third quarter and helped the Warriors ultimately get a win. But I think style points at this stage are irrelevant as long as they make it out of the game with the victory. And will efforts like tonight win you playoff games? No. Efforts like tonight will get the Warriors run out of the first round of the playoffs in 5 against anybody. Sacramento, Phoenix, the Clippers, Memphis, whoever it may be. Warriors play like they did tonight in the playoffs, and it's night-night in a hurry, and not in a good way. But for tonight, as we close the books on March and head toward April and these final 9 days of the regular season and the 4 games that are to come, I don't really think it matters all that much that this was kind of an ugly game, because I think the Warriors knew that they didn't have to totally lock in. And I think they also knew that even if they didn't totally lock in, they weren't going to get beat the way that maybe they would have by a Pelicans team that has a lot more talent, or a Minnesota team that has a lot more talent and proved to beat the Warriors going back to Sunday night in Game 2 of the 4-game homestand. So Warriors now 5 of 6 in the win column. It's not all negative. Again, granted, tonight was not pretty. 3-1 on the homestand, and the Warriors now will try to get back out on the road against a team that is resting up for them. The Nuggets going developmental mode the last couple of nights, gifting the Pelicans one in Denver last night, and then tonight they rested a bunch of guys in Phoenix, took another L, although it was a more competitive game for them tonight after they got down big. Suns ended up putting them away, but the Nuggets basically resting up for Sunday and the Warriors and trying to maybe put one on them as they gear up to wrap up home court advantage in the playoffs for the West portion of the playoffs. And the Nuggets are only 2 games up now on Memphis, but you run through it and the Nuggets have the tiebreaker over Memphis. So the Nuggets basically can afford to tie, and they've got some winnable games coming up here over the course of the next week as well. And so Denver playing around a little bit with their food here in the final week, but they know if they win a couple of games, and it's really just combination of 2 wins for them or 2 Memphis losses, and they'll still be at the top of the Western Conference with home court advantage throughout the West portion of the playoffs regardless. What does this win do for the Warriors? Well, it puts them now into a tie with the Clippers. Tied with the Clippers as the Warriors improve now to 41-37, 32-8 at home. 1 game to go on the Chase Center hardwood. They've got 3 games to go on the road. Again, Denver, Sacramento, and Portland, the 3 road games. And the Warriors are in a flat-footed, dead heat tie, same record, same amount of games to go with the Clippers at 41-37. Clippers, though, remain in 5th. Why? Because the Clippers, although the Warriors and Clippers split 4 games, home team won all 4, go figure, on brand for the Warriors in 2022-23. But the Clippers have a better division record with a couple of games to go still in the division. They've played 14 division games. They're 7-7. The Warriors have played 15 division games. They're 6-9. And so a win for the Clippers in either of their 2 remaining divisional games would firm up that tiebreaker. The only way the Warriors have a shot to end up winning a tiebreaker against the Clippers is if they can wind up tied as far as division record goes. And the only way they end up tied as far as division record goes is if they win in Sacramento and the Clippers lose both to Phoenix and the Lakers. So not completely off the table at that point, although we'll have to see how things shake out here in the final few games of the year. If the Warriors can tie them in terms of division record, the Warriors do have a better conference record than the Clippers. But again, they have to tie that division record by winning in Sac and having the Clippers lose their last 2, because that's the first tiebreaker between divisional opponents, is that divisional record once you get beyond the head-to-head. So the Warriors still in 6th at 41-37. They're now a game and a half ahead of the Lakers, but only 1 in the loss column. Surprise, surprise. The Lakers are all of a sudden in 7th. Lakers beat Minnesota tonight in Minneapolis, and that's a big win for them. They're 39-38. Pelicans are 39-38. Lakers 7. Pels 8 with those 2 teams tied. Minnesota dips to 9th with Oklahoma City sitting in 10th. Thunder lost in Indiana, and so the Mavs are still alive as far as maybe getting that final play-in tournament slot at 37-40. And there's a big one tomorrow. Pelicans hosting the Clippers tomorrow night in New Orleans. And so we'll see what happens there. If the Clippers lose that game, the Warriors move into 5th. Do you even want to be 5th if you're the Warriors? I know I said it on Warriors Live before the ball game. If you're the Warriors, you want to play Sacramento as a 6 seed, or do you want to play Phoenix as the 5 seed with Kevin Durant back? And the Suns are now 5-0 in games where they've had Kevin Durant, along with Chris Paul and obviously Devin Booker and the other players that they've put together in the little revamp of the Suns roster this year. So 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. It's John Dickinson here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. We'll get into more of the details as far as this game goes. We'll hear from Steve Kerr, Jordan Poole, and others between now and 11 o'clock. But let's get it started on the phone lines with Gene in Oakland up first tonight here on 95.7 The Game. What's going on, Gene?
Hey, JD. Yeah, I just got back from the game. Actually, I took my 2 grandkids,
awesome,
Henry and Noah, who are listening as their father's taking them home. And by the way, I'm going to give you a heads up. Noah's probably going to be calling in. Noah's my mentor. He's a brilliant sports analyst and historian, really, even though he's only 14 years old. Anyways,
love it.
So the game was. I suppose we should have expected to see what we saw. It doesn't bother me. I think at this point in the season, just as the Dubs were at this point last year and even through the playoffs somewhat, I think they're pacing themselves. You know, they took it easy in the first, third periods, knowing that they were the superior team and they were going to be able to take the game by the fourth. So it doesn't bother me that they didn't win on style points tonight. They won and they stayed in sixth, and I hope they frankly stay in sixth and don't move into the fifth spot. Or if they're going to move up to the fourth. I'd be okay with the fourth or the sixth. I don't want to play Phoenix with KD back. And while we're talking about all these teams and their seedings, I'm starting to get a little concerned about the Lakers. They drubbed us a couple of times the last couple of times we played them. So I'm a little worried about them. They're looking pretty darn good. So one last point, if I could make it. I know it's going to take a while before we decide whether the Wiseman for GP2 trade works out better for us or for Detroit, but I think the early returns would say that we're getting the better of it. GP2 was a factor tonight, as he has been, I think, since he came back. I really liked it, how he's come back and really pretty much playing the way he did, I thought, by the end of last year, and of course was a factor at the end of the season through the playoffs.
Thanks for the call, Gene. Appreciate it, and look forward to hearing from Noah. And a great night for your grandkids as well. Good on you for taking them to the ball game. Yeah, it is too early to judge, but the Warriors finally, after a month of GP not being healthy enough to be able to play, getting him back out there, and he looked good tonight. He was super impactful tonight in his 17 minutes plus 13, 8 boards. He's getting loose balls. He's falling and diving all over the place. So, yeah, they need GP2. And if he's healthy, then in the short term, this is a win for the Warriors, that trade. Now, I know in the long term, I said, and I'll put it right out there, I mean, I do think it was still the Wiseman part of it when you couple that with the injury to Peyton. I thought, hey, this has the potential to be a little panicky for the Warriors and not work out great. But it's two different things. It's short term versus long term. You file the Wiseman part away as long as GP2 is able to play, and he has been able to play here for the last couple of weeks, and then you move on from there. The last week, I guess. It's been 5-6 days now, I guess, since Peyton came back. But you file that away, and then you see how much Peyton can help you, and that's a part of it between now and the end of the season. How does it end? And then is he healthy enough to help you, and to what level over the next 2 years combined with what Wiseman brings? But from just the GP2 part of it for this year, now that he's back on the floor, he's helping this team, and he will help this team in the playoffs if he's healthy enough to be able to play as well. I'm with you on the Lakers, Gene. The Lakers have action. I don't know that they're going to be a direct threat to the Warriors unless it winds up being a 7-8 play-in game, and we saw how that went a couple of years ago for the Warriors. A little bit of a different Laker team, but LeBron and AD and the Warriors got beat in a 7-8 play-in game. If the Warriors stay 6 and the Lakers stay 7 or vice versa, they're going to avoid each other, but could potentially be second-round opponents if they're able to pull off an upset there. And I'm with you as well on the 6 seed. No disrespect to Sacramento. I know Sacramento's popping off about how disrespected they are, but it has nothing to do really with the Kings. It's more, it's the alternative options. Would you rather play Phoenix or the Kings? Would you rather play the Clippers or the Kings? To me, it's a no-brainer with Kawhi, a guy who's won Finals MVPs, and Durant, who's won Finals MVPs. Again, the people of Sacramento may take it as disrespectful. That's fine. They can motivate however they see fit in their first trip to the playoffs in over a decade and a half. That's cool. I get it. I think every fan base loves to feel disrespected, but really it's more about the alternative options and the prospect of facing Phoenix. The Warriors moving up to 5 actually creates a more difficult matchup if they end up playing Kevin Durant and the Suns in the first round. All right, let's keep it moving on the phone lines. 888-957-9570. Andrew in Pleasanton next here on Warriors Wrap Up. What's going on, Andrew?
Hey, JD. First thing I want to say, I always love your post-game analysis, and I'm jumping into this. This is sort of an idea of take on what is a must-win, right? We all kind of like roll our eyes at the idea of the trope of the must-win game, and really like until you hit that like mathematical number, there's only the one must-win game, and then every game after that is also a must-win. But like the Warriors aren't there, but they certainly want to win these games, right? To have agency over their own fate, like other people, like other teams, if they win or lose, that's on them. But like you want to be in the best position that you can. And I just feel like a lot of these games, the Warriors play up or down to their level of competition. And it's been that way for, I think, years, really, like not just this year. And I don't know. We talk about championship DNA and whatnot. Does that have to include like Draymond's kind of take on I can't wake up for games in March kind of deal? Like, is that what championship DNA means? Because I don't know. I don't see him buckling down a whole lot, and when they do, it doesn't seem to work out. It's too late. I don't want to win in the first quarter. If you can win by 15 in the fourth, how about you win by 15 in the first? And then we don't have this whole will they, won't they kind of situation. Anyway, that's my take.
No, there wasn't a lot of buckling down in the first quarter tonight. There's no doubt. And I think this team has struggled to find motivation. I think they were unmotivated to play tonight, clearly. But there's a difference between being unmotivated to play on a night like tonight and still figuring out a way to win by 15 and taking an L. And watching the league as much as I do on a night-in, night-out basis, there are teams, Minnesota's one of them, by the way, a team that has a similar record to the Warriors, who have lost games to Houston and San Antonio and Charlotte multiple times and Detroit multiple times. Now, the Warriors lost to Orlando a couple times, lost to Detroit a couple times. Like they have been guilty in their own way of doing it, but other teams have done it more. The Clippers have done it more, believe it or not, than the Warriors have. Now, they've tricked around with the idea of resting players and this guy's going to play this matchup, not play this matchup, no back-to-backs here, this guy's out there. And so there are other teams that have been far more calculated about it, and then when they have had their guys together, they still haven't played hard either and have wound up getting bitten in the behind by it. So I give the Warriors credit on the one hand that at least at home, with the exception of maybe one or two games this season, they haven't slipped into that. Now on the road, it's bitten them a ton. And it's the reason that we're not having a conversation about the Warriors being the second or the third seed themselves, and they're fighting to avoid the play-in tournament. But I'll give you my definition of must-win. And to me, tonight was a must-win for the Warriors because it was one of two gimmies that you have left on the schedule, and the gimmies are the games that you absolutely have to get. Tonight was a must-win because you might not win in Denver on Sunday, even if you play well. And so that game, to me, becomes gravy. And I look at it now. The must-wins are OKC and Portland now among the four games that the Warriors have left. Sacramento's kind of a 50-50. If you can get that being the next most difficult game that you have next to the Denver game, if you can get that, great. I think 3 out of 4 puts the Warriors 6th for sure and maybe even 5th. I think 2 out of 4, and it's kind of 50-50 flip a coin. I think 2 out of 4, the Warriors might be 6th, and they might be 7th at that point. You win any less than 2 of the final 4, and you're going to be a play-in tournament team. You go 1-3, you're a play-in tournament team. You go 0-4 over the last 4, you're a play-in tournament team in all likelihood. A play-in tournament team that might get their ass burned on a tiebreaker and find themselves on the outside looking in, depending upon, let's say, what a Dallas or a Oklahoma City does over the course of their final games. But tonight, to me, was a must-win. A must-win because of the fact that the game in Denver is a lot more difficult and the Nuggets are loading up because they punted their last 2 games away, in essence, to give their guys a rest before going hard, it sounds like, over the course of this final week. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. John Dickinson here on 95.7 The Game. Let's go to Al in Alameda. We'll keep it rolling here on the phone lines on a Friday night. What's going on, Al?
Good evening. Thank you for taking my call, JD. Yes, you were mentioning about if playoff comes around there, I would suggest I'd rather play Sacramento. I'll be honest with you, okay? Because you don't want to face Phoenix because like KD is there, and they're like 5-0 since they've been playing. I mean, he was hurt, okay? And Sacramento, the three players I'm kind of scared of them: Sabonis, Fox, and Monk. And the bench, I don't really care about those guys. Okay, we have Payne back, and hopefully we get Wiggins back sooner or later. Okay, and I think 6-3, I kind of like that matchup right there. Okay, Phoenix, I would avoid that. Memphis, for sure. Denver, they might get bounced out in the first round. So right now, I'm leaning for Sacramento. Okay, thank you, JD.
Yep. Thanks, Al. I mean, look, again, playing Sacramento's a no-brainer if you're the Warriors. That doesn't mean you can't lose. That doesn't mean you go up there and you still have trouble winning on the road, and they put 130 up every night, so you're going to have to defend at least a little bit. You're going to have to be patient offensively and run your stuff. You can get whatever shot you want if you're patient, but the two things that absolutely get you killed if you're playing the Kings are bad shots that are misses into their fast break opportunities and turnovers. You start turning it over and taking quick bad shots, they might hit you with a 45-point quarter, and then you're in trouble. But it's a no-brainer that you want Sacramento over Phoenix. It's not even. It's not. And look, Fox is a handful for the Warriors. You've got more options on guys that can cover him if you've got Gary Payton in the mix. But look, Gary Payton ain't covering De'Aaron Fox for 37, 40 minutes a night. Gary Payton's only playing 17, maybe 20, and I think the Warriors probably want to limit him to about 17. So you need other options to be on Fox. Kuminga's going to have to be potentially on Fox. Wiggins coming back is paramount to me. I mean, that to me is almost the difference in the series. If Wiggins can come back and get himself into game shape and be available for that series, that almost determines who's the favorite in that series. It's no picnic, and I don't want it to come off as disrespectful, but it's just a tale of a couple of different options. I think you'd be more comfortable playing the team with the least amount of experience when you're the team that has the most amount of experience. Sabonis is a monster. Sabonis has been a mini Jokic this year. Kevin Huerter has been awesome this year. They've got Keegan Murray, who just broke the record for most three-pointers made by a rookie in NBA history. Now, Harrison Barnes is somebody who's been really steady. Malik Monk, big off the bench. Trey Lyles, big off the bench. Like that's a talented team. Mike Brown, he knows exactly what this Warriors team possesses. And so, I mean, that's a hell of a matchup. That is not a picnic, but it is the lesser of two evils when you compare it to Phoenix, in my estimation, and even Memphis. I'd rather play Sacramento than Memphis when you're talking about a first-round series. All right, 888-957-9570. Josue in Fremont. What's going on, Josue?
Yo. Hey, JD, man, I was starstruck a little earlier when I ran into you in the Warriors store.
The picture. Yeah, we took the picture. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was with my girl Emma. Say hi, babe.
Hi, JD. It's so cool to meet you.
I was so pumped.
Hey, nice meeting you.
I don't want to take too much of your time, but it was so cool. But it was really dope tonight, man, watching GP2 and Kuminga make game-winning plays, just big winning plays, and, like seeing kind of how the breakdown of minutes are getting distributed. Like, I didn't see J. Mike on the court tonight, and I heard on Willard and Diggs earlier that Wiggins was back in the Bay, potentially. And so I know, obviously, he's paramount to the championship run. But, I wonder how the minutes are going to be distributed if and when he comes back, and, how that affects DiVincenzo and J-Mike. And I just want to hear your thoughts on that. And thanks again for a great show, man. I appreciate you.
Yep, appreciate it. Thank you very much to both of you. Have a great night and rest of your weekend. It was wonderful meeting you. Yeah, there was the report from Jason Dumas of Cron 4 that Wiggins is back in the Bay after spending time away. Now, that does not equate to back with the team. However, it would be the first step toward if he was going to come back to the team. And I know I said to Steiny and Guru earlier in the week, we were kind of chatting about, what this thing's getting down to the end of the line here as far as like, when would Wiggins have to come back to be impactful for the playoffs? And I said early this coming week, like by Monday or Tuesday of this coming week, back with the team, to where you're essentially a week and a half, 12 days or so away from a playoff to be able to get yourself back into condition and be able to help. And so I thought Steve Kerr, said Wiggins has been doing his own workouts and things away from the team. And so I think that's a positive sign that if he's got the personal issues and family issues handled to an extent where he feels comfortable enough coming back, there is still enough of a lead up to where he could really, really help this team between now and the end of the season. And so as far as the minutes, we'll see. I think Wiggins is somebody that could be brought off the bench at first, but the Warriors have struggled anytime they've tried to reacclimate somebody else into the rotation. DiVincenzo hasn't quite played as well since Gary Payton II came back. Kuminga didn't play well the first game back, and Steve Kerr put him in the starting lineup and separated him from Gary Payton, which I think has been beneficial to Kuminga, making Kuminga the starting four, Draymond at 5, Looney becomes the backup center. Here's the thing. You probably need Looney, though, to start against Zach if you're playing them. You need Looney to start against Jokic when you're playing them. So Kuminga's probably going back to the bench in 2 of these next 3 games in all likelihood. If Wiggins comes back, I think Kuminga's minutes are impacted. I think DiVincenzo's minutes are impacted as well. I think Anthony Lamb's minutes certainly would be impacted, no question. But the Warriors are going to have to figure it out. Either way, it's a nice problem to have because Wiggins can be an on-ball defender and a slasher and somebody that can get his own bucket, and that's exactly what you want if you're the Warriors here heading down the stretch and into the playoffs. You want another wing player that can defend and that can get a tough 2 for this Warriors team, which, you saw Kuminga tonight. He got some 2s down in the paint. A lot of them made by the context, again, of the Warriors offense, his own cutting, being in the right spot. Like, anytime Kuminga's 8 of 11, that tells you he's getting a lot of dunks, and that's a good thing. And he's had 3-4 of those lines in the last couple of weeks where it's everything coming off of a cut, off of a defense, off of a rebound. Very little freelancing from Kuminga and trying to go, ha, ha, ha. You don't want that. Although he's had maybe one play in every game where he's done a little bit of that. But, again, you can live with it one play a game here or there, pass or fail, and it's been successful for him even in those instances. But when Kuminga's playing well, it's high motor, it's rebounding, it's defense, and it's buckets at the rim because of the way the defense is playing the Warriors that allow him to get those easy ones. That is peak Kuminga for his second year in the NBA as he continues to develop. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. All right, let's get to Noah in Danville, who is next here on Warriors Wrap-Up. Noah, thanks for calling in. Now Gene, our buddy Gene, is your grandpa?
Yeah, he is.
Nice. Well, thanks for calling in tonight, Noah. What's on your mind?
So I think that Kuminga this year has been huge. First off, I mean, this game you saw it. He almost had a double-double, 17 and 8, 8 of 11, getting the easy ones at the rim. He's getting all of his tools, He's rounding into form. I think he'll be a key part of our playoff rotation, and I'm excited to see his development as he's only 20.
Yeah, no doubt, Noah. Thank you for the call, and good on your grandfather for taking to the game. I'm glad you guys had a good time out there tonight, family affair, and big Warriors win over the San Antonio Spurs. And, yeah, Kuminga's going to be a huge part of this thing. Again, he may not be playing as much as he did tonight in the playoffs, but Steve Kerr's ability to carve out a role and Kuminga's ability to play as effectively in fewer minutes, I think, is going to be the key to this thing. Because, I look at the rotation in the playoffs, and I think, let's say Wiggins is back and able to start. Well, it's Wiggins with Steph and Clay. It's Draymond and Looney. Maybe you break up Draymond and Looney somehow, in that, but you know those 5 are going to be there. You know Poole's going to be your 6th. How good was Jordan Poole tonight, by the way? Another game where the Warriors didn't have a lot of action, but Jordan Poole was able to score and score efficiently, and they needed it, and it helped save them from getting down big again against an inferior team in this building. And so you look at Poole tonight. Poole's in there. DiVincenzo's in there as the 7th. I think Payton's in there as the 8th. I think Kuminga is in there as the 9. And then we'll see. I think Anthony Lamb is somebody that's a sometimes player, not an always player, depending upon what you need and the matchups. And I think JaMychal Green is a sometimes player and not an always player. But yeah, I think the trusted 3 for sure are going to be Poole, DiVincenzo, and Payton, with Kuminga being a part of that. I think those 4 are playing for sure as things get laid out in the playoffs. And I think that's a pretty solid 9. You start talking about Anthony Lamb and JaMychal Green being your 10 and your 11 in a playoff series, and that's a much better place to be than where the Warriors have been as of late. All right, 888-957-9570. We still got secret sauce to get to. We've still got the hardest working player of the game to get to. But let's keep it rolling on the phone lines here on a Friday night. Marvin. What's going on, Marvin? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game.
How you doing, JD? Hey, I really believe that the Warriors should take on Phoenix and take that 5 seed because I think Phoenix is not cohesive. I watched them tonight. I watched them against Denver, of course, without Jokic. But I just think that they're not cohesive. They let a lot of backups run off a 27-3 run on them. And what I see in them is when the chips get down, they're going to fold. And I just think the Warriors are coming rounded into shape. If you bring back Wiggins and bring him off the bench, kind of let him play his way back into the rotation, I can see us taking Phoenix down. I think Sacramento is a little deeper than Phoenix, and they got a better center. And bigger players are kind of hard for us to deal with that are athletic and can shoot the ball. So I would rather have Phoenix first because with KD, I just don't think KD and Booker and Paul are cohesive yet. And I can see us beating Paul. I bet they don't want us in the first round.
I think that's fair. And Marvin, you made the argument. I mean, that's the best argument I've heard. And you made the right argument as far as if you did prefer to play Phoenix over Sacramento. Now I don't go down that path. I think Phoenix let up against the shorter-handed Denver team tonight. I didn't get a chance to watch all of that game. I was kind of peeking in little breaks on the iPad. I think, though, we're talking about old Phoenix when you talk about not being able to get the job done and all of that, and CP with the Clippers and Houston and all of that, and some of the demons from the last 2 years of the Suns losing to Dallas, losing to Milwaukee up 2-0 in the finals. This is a different team. This is they got rid of a bunch of those guys to get KD in there, and now it's KD and Book, and Chris Paul's the 3rd best player, and they still have Ayton. And I'm with you, they're not quite as deep as they were. That's a fair thing to point out. But I'm sorry, I'm still taking play Sac. And again, Sac can beat you. It's not a disrespectful statement to Sac. I would just rather play the young, inexperienced team over the team that's got Booker and Durant. And Chris Paul is the 3rd, and DeAndre Ayton. And look, they haven't gotten beat yet. It hasn't always been pretty. They played an easy schedule, I think, early in those first 3 games, but they're 5-0 with Durant. And I think they may look a little more cohesive a week and a half from now than they do right now on top of that. And so I wouldn't want to mess with that in the first round. But again, no disrespect to Sac. Sac is deeper. Sac is not the most athletic team. De'Aaron Fox is probably the fastest player in the league. They're not the most athletic team. In fact, they struggle with other teams that have size and athleticism in an oddly similar way that the Warriors do, especially, and that's even with Sabonis, who's a monster and skilled, and we've seen Sabonis really hurt the Warriors in the past. But that's a good team. they are much more cohesive. I'll give you that, Marvin. The Kings are more cohesive at this stage than the Suns because they basically had the same 8 players that have all played together all year. They've had very few injuries. Fox has missed a handful, but they've been really well connected. They run everything through Sabonis early, and he goes to work, and he sets up their three-point shooters, and then they play pick and roll, and they let Fox get out in transition late, and basically it's Fox's game in the fourth quarter after everybody's gotten into a flow over the first 3 quarters. They don't play a lick of defense either, which I think is a benefit to the Warriors. Not that you want to use that as a means to be able to let up in any of those games, but the Kings are, when you're patient, like the Warriors' style of patient ball movement, as long as they don't settle for jumpers and they attack and get to the basket and cut and do all that, they can obliterate the Kings defensively in that respect. And so it becomes which team's more apt to get a big stop in the big moments. And I'll say this, the Kings in the regular season have gotten more big stops and big moments than the Warriors have. It's why they have a better record. But in the playoffs, is that something that continues to be an issue for them? So remains to be seen. We'll see. All right, let's get to the secret sauce of the game. Why did the Warriors win? Why did the Warriors lose? Secret sauce of the game brought to you by Proposition Chicken. Fried, flipped, fake. This chicken goes 3 ways. Now available in 8 Bay Area locations, with the newest one being in Novato. And the secret sauce of the game tonight was Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole, 27 points off the bench. Warriors had a 44-37 bench advantage. But Poole, in his 27 minutes with the 27 points and really keeping the Warriors in this game and preventing them at times from getting down to where they would have had to work a hell of a lot harder than they did to be able to come back in this one. So I'm giving a nod there to Jordan Poole. And collectively, you could say Poole, Curry, and Klay Thompson, when you look at the nights that Poole, Curry, and Klay Thompson had as they go in this game for 91 combined, 91 for the 3 of them in this one. That's your secret sauce. And my goodness, 20 3-pointers made by those 3 in this game. 20 3-pointers made, 20 of 38 for those 3. That is incredible, and that is your secret sauce of the game. Again, brought to you by Proposition Chicken. Fried, flipped, fake. This chicken goes 3 ways. Now available in 8 Bay Area locations, with the newest one being in Novato. And how about the Warriors tonight from 3? Warriors from 3-point range tonight, they started 0 for 13. That's a big reason why you get down early. 0 of 13 from 3. Now, the Spurs weren't really hitting either. But then the Warriors finished after the 0 for, so they go 0 for 13. And then Steph hits one, then Steph gets fouled on one, he hits that one. Warriors finish 21 of 36. So they go 0 for 13. And then they go 58% with 20 makes for the remainder of the game. That'll get it done as well. And the Warriors hitting a lot of those shots in the second half and hitting a lot of those shots in the fourth quarter. 9 of 15 for the Warriors in the fourth quarter from 3. That's how you outscore your opponent 43-27 and rally from down 1 to go on to win by the final of 130-115. All right, 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. Warriors wrap up here on 95.7 The Game. Let's go ahead and also get our hardest working player of the game in, and our hardest worker of the game is brought to you by AC Transit.
Curry steps around Trey Jones, gets it to midcourt, behind the back, downtown, fires and got it! 122-106. Warriors pulling away here in the latter stages of this contest, a contest they have to win.
Yeah, big game there. Big game for Curry. And, he just continues to do, 7 of 11 from 3. Curry's just been, he's been otherworldly with the exception of a couple of games here and there since he's returned. And he put the Spurs to bed tonight. And so big game for Curry. Big close for Steph Curry as well. As you look at Steph, 16 in the fourth quarter, 16 of his 33 on the night coming in the fourth quarter as the Warriors get this win by 15. Hardest working player of the game, brought to you by AC Transit. AC Transit, looking for hard workers and offering a $2,000 bonus for new bus operators and journey-level mechanics to join their team. For complete details and to apply, visit actransit.org/careers. That's actransit.org/careers. Hardest worker of the game tonight is Steph Curry. All right, final couple of minutes here on Warriors wrap-up on 95.7 The Game. Let's go ahead and hear from Jordan Poole tonight. I'll give you the Cliff Notes version of Steve Kerr coming up before we wrap things up, and we'll reset the standings and the big games tomorrow before we get out of here at 11 o'clock. But let's hear a couple of minutes of Jordan Poole as he met with the media here inside Chase Center.
23s, and now this team, when you have 200, and it's only been done one other time where three guys on the same team in the same season have had 200 threes. Does it just show how much fun you guys have, the depth and shooting talent, all those things?
Yeah, it's pretty special, especially being the second team in history to do it up there with really good company. And we still got a couple of games to go. So shout out to those guys, just for just raising the level of competition, not only in the game, but in practice and just being around these guys for the 4 years that I've been. I've learned a lot, and it's really special to be a part of.
JP, you guys outscored San Antonio 43-27 in the fourth quarter. What went right offensively down the stretch?
I think we were getting the shots that we wanted earlier on in the game. Some of them didn't fall. But then we kind of picked up our defense. We limited a couple mistakes in that second quarter. That third quarter, fourth quarter, we kind of got it rolling a little bit. Able to get some actions, get some easy looks for Clay, Steph. And then once we kind of get our momentum, it's hard to stop.
I think you guys have won 5 of 6 now. I've heard guys talk about building good habits as you go toward the playoffs. What do you like about what you guys are doing right now?
We're just taking care of business. I think we know how important each and every game is. Especially how close the win-loss ratio is in the Western Conference. So I think we know that we need to be tapping into playoff basketball around now and limiting unnecessary mistakes and try to put ourselves in a position to finish the season strong and to use that momentum going forward.
Jordan, it seems like you guys can kind of feel Gary's impact the moment he steps on the floor. With all the loose balls that he was fighting for tonight, what does that do for you guys in energy-wise, all of that?
His energy and his defense and the extra possessions that he gets us are huge, especially being able to have such an amazing offensive rebounder in Loon, and then being able to have somebody like Gary who can go out there and play his role and be himself as comfortable as possible because guys around him will cover up for him. Feels really natural, knowing that we had him all last year and getting him back this year. So it's huge, and we're glad to have him back, and we know how much of an impact he has.
With that kind of natural feeling, is there almost kind of like an unspoken confidence, like when he's out there knowing what he can do versatility-wise, defensively especially?
The entire league knows what he's capable of defensively. He put that on display last year. But it just feels really good to have him back. He kind of gets our cadence, he gets our offense, he gets our plays, he gets our flow. He's a part of this team, so we definitely know that we need him if we want to make a run.
The team misses 13 threes. Do you figure at some point it's going to be an avalanche because, eventually you will make the shots and you'll get up to 20 or something like that?
Most definitely.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened tonight. 0 for 13 and then 21 of 36 for the Warriors, and that is they end up 43% for the night on 21 of 49, and you're not going to lose a lot of games when you do that. So good stuff there from Jordan Poole. The impact of Gary Payton, that was a big-time theme tonight in the post-game press conference, including Steve Kerr's post-game press conference, the impact, rebounding, loose balls, defense. GP, his presence was felt. Again, he's probably only playing 15 to 17 minutes. Maybe he gets bumped up to 20 here and there, but those can be highly impactful minutes for the Warriors, and they were tonight. We've really seen, and I think the Warriors have to be encouraged by what they've seen from GP here in these first handful of games as he's been able to rehab and get back to being able to play after they reacquired him going back to the early part of February. Steve Kerr also, he praised Klay Thompson for staying patient. Klay, big second half for Klay Thompson after a 1 of 5 start, 0 of 4 from 3 in the first half. And Klay, monster second half, 27 points in the second half, 10 of 13 in the second half. Steve Kerr credited Klay for staying patient, not chasing the bad start by taking more bad shots, letting the game come to him. And in the fourth quarter, he's able to go 7 for 10. This has been a pretty good stretch for Jordan Poole over the last handful of games as well, and the Warriors have needed it. He's seemingly finding his way as the super sub sixth man, which is something that the Warriors are going to need regardless of whether they're playing Sac or Phoenix or Memphis or anybody else in the playoffs coming up here in the next couple of weeks. And how about the energy from not only Kuminga, but Anthony Lamb deserves a nod tonight. Anthony Lamb really does deserve a nod tonight. He was really good. Not the best shooting game, but the only player with a better plus-minus on the floor than Draymond Green tonight was Anthony Lamb, who was a plus 17, had 6 rebounds, and good things continue to happen when Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, and Anthony Lamb are all on the floor together. That's been a combination that's been a major plus for the Warriors this season, and I know Steve Kerr has pointed out the combo of Kuminga and Lamb on the floor at the same time has been a positive pairing. He really likes the way those two and their games complement one another. And tonight, no different as the Warriors get the win 130-115. And now we'll see if they can't take it back out on the road where, believe it or not, they've won 2 consecutive road games, those final 2 games in Houston and Dallas to close out the last trip. Warriors maybe getting on a little roll, 5 of the last 6 with the 3-1 homestand. And the Warriors with a big-time test. Anytime you go to Denver, it's a big-time test. But clearly, the Nuggets, who have given their big players the last couple of nights off, are gearing up for that one to come on Sunday evening. So it should be fun, and all the action will come your way here at 5:30, the tip time for that one here on 95.7 The Game. All right, we'll call it a night on that note. Quick turnaround for me. Make sure you join me for Warriors This Week tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Join me and Whitey Gleason as we'll be continuing this conversation, taking your phone calls and your text messages and everything else at 888-957-9570 from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. here as we do each and every Saturday on 95.7 The Game. That's Warriors This Week. And then I'll be back for Warriors Live at 4:30 on Sunday. The Warriors and the Nuggets from Denver, 4:30 Warriors Live. That's a 5:30 tip-off for the Warriors and the Nuggets here on 95.7 The Game. 4 games to go for the Warriors. Final game at Chase on Tuesday against Oklahoma City, and then Sacramento and Portland on the road, and that is it. We'll see where the Warriors stand at that point, but for another night, they wind up 6th in the Western Conference at the close of business, tied with the Clippers, who are 5th. Big game tomorrow, Clippers and the Pelicans, where somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose, and regardless, it's going to have an impact on this play-in and playoff race. If the Clippers lose, Warriors move into 5th, and they'd be locked into a matchup against the Suns at that point, but that all pending what the Warriors do on Sunday. We'll talk to you then. Thanks to Sterling Bennett. Thanks to everybody in our San Francisco studios. Warriors get the win tonight, 130-115. And you heard it all right here, and you're home for Warriors basketball. It's 95.7 The Game. Good night.
U.S. Bank is ranked #1 in customer satisfaction with retail banking in California by J.D. Power. Since California is home to most award shows, we've prepared a thank you speech.
To Californians everywhere, we've been proud to help you plan, budget, and save smarter. Our goal tracking and budgeting tools would have no place to shine if it weren't for you, and we can't thank you enough for that. And thank you to our real-life humans who go above and beyond for our customers every day.
Bravo, U.S. Bank! Bravo!
For J.D. Power 2022 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Member FDIC.
Scott for Scott's here. Do you hear that? Bring the mic in close. That's not how the grass should sound. There's weeds everywhere in this lawn. It's time to take action with Scott's Turf Builder Triple Action. It gets 3 jobs done at once. Kills weeds, prevents crabgrass, and feeds your lawn so it keeps growing strong. Ah, much better.
Get a bag of Scott's Triple Action today. It's guaranteed, or your money back.
Feed your lawn. Feed it.
The Dell Technologies semi-annual sale starts now with limited quantity deals on select performance PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Save on select Vostro laptops with built-in security features and select Latitude laptops with enhanced privacy, collaboration, and connectivity.